Welcome to the Upshift Podcast, where changemakers meet and commune and find out how each other is doing their part in changing the world. Hey, welcome. It's Angel Howard, your host at the Upshift Podcast, and today I don't have a guest because today I'm going to become the student. The teacher becomes a student. I'm going to share with you what I'm going to call my tooth journey, because you can teach and train all you want, but until the person, the teacher, the trainer, is actually using their own awareness, their own method, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So today I'm going to share with you how I've had to use my own method, Chakra Mental Method, and follow a medical, emotional, mental rabbit down a rabbit hole. Okay, here we go. A few months ago, my tooth hurt. Number four. Number four is on your right side. It's two behind your fang on the upper side. So if that gives you where it is. Tooth number four started hurting. Went to the dentist. He couldn't see anything. They took x-rays. He said, "Lady, you've sprained your tooth." Spraining my tooth. Okay, well, that's a new concept. How do you sprain a tooth? Anyway, you do have ligaments, and apparently you can sprain a tooth. So a month later, and I had been all the way to the El Camino and back. It started bothering me again. It got a little bump on it, and it would find a way to drain. This is not a lovely podcast, but follow me just for a minute. Just hang with me. And I didn't really think that much of it until I went to the dentist again for a regular checkup in January. So right now, this is February. Went to the dentist in January, and they went in there and said, we're going to have to go and do what's called a retreatment. It has a root canal. You got to go back up through your root canal and see if this tooth is possibly cracked. So let me give a little word to the wise out there. If you have tooth pain, go have it looked at. If you have what looks like a pimple on your gums, or if you have some sort of boil or something that looks like it's draining or whatever, go to your dentist. This is not good stuff, all right? Don't try to grin and bear it. Don't try to bury it. And I say this to anything that is a nagging pain or a discomfort that is continually nagging, because there's a message there. Some message is trying to get through. And for me, there's messages, but I didn't really look into it until I found out that, yes, I have a crack in the root, and now the tooth's got to come out. And there's nothing you can do, folks. If they find that kind of thing, if there's a fissure or a crack or something in the root of your tooth or your tooth, you cannot save it. Okay, so that's kind of a cold, hard reality. So facing that, and I was in denial. Oh my goodness. Did the four-letter words fly out of my mouth? I was pissed. Why me? So there's anger, right? Why me? What is this? What's the message? Why didn't I get the message before it had to be pulled out? So then I'm furiously going into the mental emotional research. That means that I looked up, and this is not weird, people, that your teeth are connected to meridians in your body, just like your spine has all these meridians and attachments to the nerves and things that control your organs. It's all connected in your body. So your teeth are too. They're not singularly different from any other part of your body. So I looked at the meridians that tooth number 4 was connected to, because out of 32 teeth in my head, number 4 was the one that decided to go haywire. All right, so number 4. Number 4, its meridians are the lungs, and the small, but mostly into the large intestine. So what does that mean? Okay. Lungs. Lungs are a grief organ. You experience grief, and it's the lung that expels it. Think about crying. Think about long sighs. Think about when something happens and you kind of feel, beaten down. It comes out of your lungs. Lungs also is the second behind your skin only of the largest detoxifier in your body. Detoxing, getting rid of the things that don't serve you. You inhale, you can't control much what you're inhaling around you. That's how we get sick, really, inhaling somebody else's sneezes or whatever. I should have maybe warned you about this podcast. It's not going to be pretty. But again, hang with me, because this is the process that I'm hoping that everybody else does for themselves. Because if you can self-diagnose, you can also heal and not have to get those pains or problems again, or get rid of the discomfort, the insecurities. All those things are tied up in our system together. So lung, deep grief. And I'm like, what in the world would I be grieving about? Deep grief. I mean, my mom passed. That was 3 years ago. And I did a lot of deep grieving, but I'm like, what now am I feeling grief over? Deep. It said deep grief. And then that small intestine, large intestine, that is where your body decides what stays, what's nourishing you, and what is waste. What you keep and what you let go of. What you take in and what you release. And that is the organ of discernment. And in the Chakra Mental Method, that's right in that stomach area. Okay? The third chakra, the self chakra. And wood is the element, because wood is strong yet flexible. It's about having boundaries. It's about discerning who and what gets to stay in your life, who and what gets to come into your life, like what gets to come into your body in the form of air, in the form of water, in the form of food, and what you don't need anymore. Again, this is a concept. We can't control everything outside of us, what's out there. We can't control what we put in our mouth. I get that, but sometimes we don't. And our body has to decide every day, at every moment, every time you put something in your body, what you get to keep and what gets wasted, what gets, released as waste. So in the mental world, you have to do that too. Emotional world, you have to do that too. So I said, okay, this can't be a single threaded one-time event. It's not just now. What's been going on in my life? Aha. Having coffee with a friend of mine who happens to also be a tarot reader. She's taught in a business school. She's an aerialist, like teaches aerial arts. And she is a 4th generation tarot reader. So she has a very developed intuitive side to her. And I was telling her about my tooth, and I'm like, it's connected to lung, and I supposedly have some deep grief. And she said to me, well, here's another perspective. Sometimes deep grieving is not about the thing you're grieving, about leaving something behind or loss of something. It's really about the emotion that is driving you to refocus. This emotion, whether I was conscious about feeling it or not, was steering me to where I need to go. I am in that point of my life where it's like, if I don't go where I'm supposed to go at this point, there's not a whole lot of road ahead of me. There's more road behind me. Okay. I'm not a fatalist. I'm a realist. So what am I steering toward? And then she asked me, do you know what your north node is? I know this gets a little like astrologically geeky, but just listen to the coincidences and the connections and the interconnectedness of the messages here that come out everywhere for us if we're conscious and aware enough. I'm like, I don't know what my north node is. Go look at my north node. My north node's in Cancer. Okay, so what? North node in Cancer, those people come in. The north node is very shortly about the karmic challenges you come in with, meaning you come in with some skills that you're really good at. I'm great at networking. I'm great at meeting people. I'm comfortable around people. But my north node in Cancer means that I put too much weight. I care too much about what other people think about me. Truly, I did. And I moved back to my hometown 18 years ago. And all of that insecurities and fear of being in your hometown, you feel like there's eyes always on you, and there's a certain way and persona that you were when you left, and all that. I went through all that, cleared all that out with my family of origin, with my father and how I was raised, with my mother and how I was raised, with my siblings. All this comes out, by the way, especially when a parent dies. Okay, going back to my North Node and the challenges I came in with. So it told those with Cancer as a North Node that to let go of trying to control me, trying to control myself and my outcomes, thinking I know what's best at all times to get that outcome. It's kind of if I was scared of the unknown, then I've got to do what is known. So I've built up through life professional skills from the corporate days, from financial days, from my master's in international business and finance, business. This is what you do to create business. This is the success in business. All right. That was my vision in my head. And the North Node people need to, if they're going to learn their lesson to really find success, is to let go of controlling the outcome and let go of controlling others to have the same outcome. Wow. Controlling the outcome, controlling what looks like success, what I'm supposed to do, which in my 1980s girl on the pavement, pounding with my suit, my briefcase, going door to door in California to the restaurants and selling Coca-Cola, that looked a certain way, and you pushed and you pushed and you never rested on your laurels. And even if you, in my household, made a B plus, it was you could do better. And when you came home elated about your A plus, it's, oh yeah, we knew you could do that. That's just who you are. Well, that's not really celebrating, is it? Anyway, going back to this North Node. So it's about letting go of my expectations of what success looks like and leaning more into my intuition, my soft skills, my highly intuitive self, my following my heart and allowing spontaneity back in my life, and actually taking that spontaneous thought and putting it into action. And I got to tell you, when I do those things, my heart is filled. My heart is thrilled. And supposedly, that when our heart is filled and thrilled, that is the path that we're supposed to be on. But my head conflicts sometimes. I'm just sharing here. All right. So Cancer North Node is about not being driven by others' expectations, not being driven or guided by external expectations of who I am or others' opinions of me. That's tough. I mean, I don't live on Facebook for any amount of time at all, but there's a lot of judgment that comes nowadays with our influx, our fire hose reception of social media and media. And anyway, my Cancer North Node has been challenged, especially since I've been back in my hometown, but also knowing again and again how incredibly driven I have been, or not driven, I've been internally driven, but guided, like driving myself in one direction, but always very, very, very conscious and inquiring of other people's opinions about what I'm doing and where I'm going. I mean, to the point of, I feel psychotic sometimes. It's like, well, this feels really right, but I don't know. It may not be. Let me go check with this person. Let me call up this person. I need a coach. I need help. I need somebody's input. And what I'm being told is I don't. And if you remember, when I was on the El Camino last October, if you do follow me on Facebook, I did a daily kind of diary of what my time was and then the lessons I learned. And the biggest lesson I learned on the El Camino is I left competition on the El Camino. And that is the competition with everybody around me. I should be better. I should look better. I should be stronger. I should. Oh my God. And yet I go into a dance class or go into my movement classes and I tell everybody else to shrug off the shoulds, which is, by the way, wood. Wood is the element that we shake off the old. It's the discernment of what we don't need anymore. It goes back to that small intestine and large intestine deciding what is waste. Going back to that third chakra, going back to that stomach area and saying no to that thing or that person or that thought. Saying no, you're toxic, you're waste for me. And therefore, I'm going to pass you on through, release you like my body would a toxic substance inside of it. Wow, what a concept. And this goes back to number 4, the tooth, the deep grief, the discernment. And I think what the deep grief is for me is to leave that knowing behind. Like the thought that I know I need to have a coaching product. I need to be able to tell people when they hear me speaking and come up to me afterwards, like, how can I stay connected to you? My answer is, I don't really know. I mean, Facebook, buy my book, I don't know. And I thought, I need a coaching tool. I need some way that they can stay connected and have coaching with me. And yet everything inside of me is somehow against that. It's odd. It's so odd. It's like my head is really being bullheaded strong. Like, you have to have this. And yet my heart is like, no, just write your book. I'm writing book 2. Book 2 is really about how you present, how your body is talking to us and how you present out there. And talking and speaking in front of people and having small, intimate groups, those thrill my heart. And so going back to this tooth, because I'm doing this podcast, last time I'll be able to smile with my original tooth in my mouth. That's another one. Is it vain that I don't want to have just a empty gap? Somebody said, you're just vain and you want a fake tooth. I'm like, no, I think it's hygiene. Is there a fine line between hygiene and vanity? I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is me with my listeners being real about having a medical or physical thing show up in my life that is painful and will not let me ignore it. I have to pay attention. When I paid attention and got it, it's the attention. It's like, you gotta take me out. You gotta take me out and deal with what the message is. And the message is that deep grief of leaving the thought processes of, maybe it's the old 80s girl. Maybe it's the girl that was raised in my dad's house where you could never really be good enough. You could always be better. That's a tough one. So that's the thing I say to myself inside is, yeah, that's great. You accomplished that, but you can be better. And then as I was explaining to my wonderful editors that helped me with my books about that, I'm like a walking onion. I know we all are, but just check this out. So on the external of me, I'm very confident. I've been there, done that. I can be on a stage. I can get through just about anything. But just behind that layer is an insecurity. Oh, no, you're not. You're not all that. You're not that great. That's the imposter syndrome. But once I get in touch with that, okay, I'm like, okay, where does that insecurity come from? Where does it show up that I don't fully believe in myself? Well, let's go deep into that and let's pluck that out and heal that So I got in touch with that, had to do with my dad. We healed that. And then it's like, then you get to the confident layer, the next layer. I'm confident. Yeah, I did that. I got rid of this. I feel empowered. I've got the Chakra Mental Method, which is so easy to do. And I love sharing it because just like I did with my tooth, you could get to the bottom of the pain in your rear end, whatever it is, and move forward with clarity. But then just behind that becomes the insecurity of like, wait, the message. But what am I sad about? Where am I going? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then it's like, do I believe in me? And really, it all starts there, doesn't it? We got to believe in ourselves, and then we got to build up that belief and our confidence. And some of that's stretching. Some of that is being, of course, uncomfortable. But knowing that at the end of that uncomfortable journey, wow, that the gift and the message and the who you are then is so much clearer, stronger, more confident, more bright and shiny and loving, and you leave a loving wake in where you walk. It's worth it. But that bridge between deciding to look at something, some call it your shadow, look into your shadow, step into your shadow, see what's there like I did. There was deep grief over even loss of a very dear friend of mine that came up recently. And I went into the loss of that connection with that person, and I actually felt the deep grief that I probably haven't allowed myself to feel back when, because I was moving too fast, moving on to the next. That's a part of the outer confidence, is to keep moving. Don't sink down into the feelings and just keep motoring through, bulldozing your way through. My mantra used to be, not now, was no moss grows on this rolling stone. And therefore, emotionally, I couldn't even be held to an intimate relationship because I had to keep going. So those are the things that build up, things that happen to us now. And this tooth, number 4, out of 32, number 4 is the one to give me the message. You really need to lean in to my intuitive skills. Those are actually the strongest skills, to trust, to fully trust and surrender. And those who know me in my circle of friends, I didn't like the word surrender so much because the warrior in me is like, oh, that's giving up. That's not fighting for the right thing. And yet surrendering is the most powerful thing you can do. And as a warrior, being vulnerable is way more powerful than fighting your way through, or no moss growing on this rolling stone, or just bulldozing your way through and over everything. Just to be in that moment, just to be in the moment and experience joy in blind faith, to experience confidence and security in the not knowing, in the mystery, knowing that in the end we are all taken care of. And if we just trust, surrender. So where I was getting with that earlier is I didn't like the word surrender. So one of my favorite languages is Italian. You can say anything in Italian and it sounds lovely. So how you say I surrender in Italian is mi rendo, which I like so much better. It's almost as romantic, like, oh, I'm romantically surrendering, mi rendo. But mi rendo to the message of this tooth, mi rendo to following my intuition, to stepping back out of the square box world that I was putting myself in, of the shoulds and the have to, and this is how you do success. And to let the bigger universe show me where I am successful. I promise to lay back a little bit and surrender and trust and have faith. And let's see, because the tooth's coming out. Tooth's coming out today, actually. And with that, hopefully the message will be instilled in me. It's time to lean into your intuition and to just let that be your gift. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. It was definitely a revealing and intimate one for me, but I felt like it's important for you as my listeners to know that I have to take my own medicine, that I can't tell you all how it's done and it's so easy unless I demonstrate doing it for myself and to get the messages that my body is giving me and therefore sharing with you. So there you are. I'm your host, Angel Howard. I've loved being and sharing with you all today. If you want to learn more, hop over to my website, angelhoward.co. If you'd like to be on the podcast, let me know. Send me an email to angel@angelhoward.co. Remember, I've got a book on Amazon called Issues in Your Tissues. Exactly what I was talking about today, the issue in my tooth. The issue in my tooth was the message, and I got it. I'm going to use it. Anyway, hoping you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time.